Hey everyone, it's Amy from Mind Body Solutions. Thank you for sharing in this practice with me today. You'll need a couple of things for this yoga practice today. A block, if you have one. If you don't have a block, maybe a book or something that's relatively solid. And also a strap. And of course, you can use a robe sash or a necktie if you don't have a yoga strap. I'm sitting on a couple of blankets as we begin this morning, and I would recommend you sitting up on a little bit of height too. Let's go ahead and get started. So sitting up straight and tall on your height, palms can be face down or face up, just simply softening the eyes as you notice the sitting bones, letting the spine rise up gently, balancing the head right on top of the shoulders, even as you sit with a quiet sense about you. Letting the breath come easily, come naturally. And then let's bring our arms out to the sides. And on an inhalation, we'll take the arms up over the head. And exhale the arms back down, just starting to move at your own pace, inhaling up. Exhaling back down, go at your own pace again. You don't have to follow me. I'm going to take a little bit of a rotation this time though. So bring the arms up. And if you wish, exhale, bringing one arm behind you and one arm in front. Inhaling up, coming back to the center. Exhaling, a little bit of a twist. Don't go too far. We aren't warmed up, so not a big twist here. Inhaling up one more time each side. Exhaling down. And last time, inhaling up. Exhaling into a little bit of a twist. Finishing by bringing the arms up to the center and then take a wide arc and bring the arms all the way back down. Good. And then just start rolling it out, rolling the shoulders forward. I like to bring the spine into it a little bit. So if it feels good to move the spine, and then let's go backwards too. Just letting my arms glide across my thighs as I get the whole body warmed up here. And then let's take a few little circles, circling the ribs a couple of times each direction, one way, and then of course the other way. Good, and then just walking backwards on my blankets, walking the hips backwards and forwards to warm up. And same thing, one more time. Very nice, good. Good, coming back to the center. Be in the center for a breath. Always taking our time with our transitions. Let's go ahead and move to our hands and knees. Moving your blanket or your height out so that isn't in the way. Coming to the hands and knees and bringing the hands in front of the shoulders a bit, maybe the knees behind the hips a little bit, and just simply taking some moving cat-cow to get the body warmed up a little bit more. Lifting the chest as you come forward, and then slowly letting the spine round just a bit as you come back. Taking your time here. And let's take one more. Easing back. And then coming back up to the center, but let's walk those hands out even a little bit more. Maybe walk the knees back a bit and come into a downward facing dog on the knees. Length from the wrist through the elbow, the shoulder, and all the way out through the hips. Feeling that sensation of midline here. Breathing into those back ribs for a couple of breaths. And then release. Let's come all the way down to the floor. Go ahead and roll over onto your back. Make sure you have your block within reach and also your strap. We'll just bring it all the way down to the floor. You know what I'd like you to do, if you're able to, if you have a strap with a buckle, or even a belt with a buckle, take one side of your belt, slip it through that buckle, and make a small loop. We're going to use this for our warrior 3 pose and for our tree pose. So we've got a small loop and we have the belt right next to the body here. Come on down onto your back. Go ahead and take a little bit of support for the head. I'm just going to take a blanket here. You may want to take a few more folds of the blanket. It's up to you, whatever feels most comfortable. And have a little bit of support for your head here. Let's go ahead and take a lying down Tadasana or mountain pose. So breathing here, letting the body and the breath settle in this position. Draw your awareness to the inner heels and gently begin pressing out through the inner heels. You'll notice that you'll press out probably naturally through the ball moans. You may even lift the toes a little bit, and that's okay. As you're pressing down through both heels, begin to get an idea of the sensation of the midline of the body. We'll be moving from the midline today. So pressing out through those heels, inhaling up through the midline, and begin to take your arms over your head any amount. Moving from the central corridor of the body here, reaching out with the fingers as far as you can as you press through the heels, through the ball mounds of the feet. Keep breathing here. And then slowly release the arms back down. Pause there. And then let's take it one more time. Inhaling right up through that inner corridor, bringing the arms over the head as you finish off that big inhalation. And then one more time, exhaling, letting the arms come back down, tracking right through that midline as we come down. Go ahead and bend your knees, place your feet on the mat, and make sure you've got that block off to the right hip. So it's on the right, it's next to my right hip, maybe 6 inches away or so. We made a little loop with our strap. So let's take that little loop and we're going to put it around the right ball mount. So I've got it around the right ball mount. And I've got one long strap here, don't I? So I'm hanging onto the strap with both hands as I press that foot up toward the ceiling. Now, it doesn't have to be straight. It can be a little bit lower, a little bit higher, wherever it works for you. In this position, if it works for you to walk that other foot down, go ahead and start walking that other foot down. Now let's start seeing warrior 3 here. So this leg that's up in the air would actually be our standing leg if we were standing and doing this pose. So activate that leg. Activate the bottom leg as if you were lifting it in the air, pressing out through that inner heel on both legs, feeling that central corridor, almost as if you're drawing a line from the inner heel right up to the base of the pelvis on both legs. Continuing along that midline, take your hands, place one hand over the other hand, and slowly begin to bring the arms over the head any amount as we reach into an inverted warrior 3 pose here, finding your breath in this position. And then release as you bring the hands along the length of the belt. Notice I'm keeping the belt taut, and we're going to move right into a tree pose. So from here, I'm going to bend the knee that's in the air, bring my foot to my leg and then drop that leg, the bent knee, off to the side. And now support that leg off to the side any amount. You can use the block in a high position or a low position. But let's try and keep those hip points as much as possible pointed straight toward the ceiling. The right one will drop off to the side a little bit, but as much as you can, keep them facing toward the ceiling. Activate both feet again. Bring the hands back to that belt. And once again, let's draw that belt up through the midline, coming into a tree pose, pressing the foot into the leg and the leg into the foot. Find your breath here. And then release. Walk the hands down the strap and then bring that leg back to the center. Release the foot from the strap. And then let's bend both feet up or both legs up again. Feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Rest here for a breath or two. Okay, same thing other side. So take your block, bring it over to the other hip, so over to the left hip. And let's start the same routine. So I have my little loop again. This time, of course, I'll put the loop on the left foot. So loop on the left foot. Both knees are bent at this point. We've got the right foot flat on the mat, and I'm going to straighten my left leg out here. And again, that leg may be up high like mine, but it also may be down a little bit lower or anywhere in between, and all are just fine. So holding on to that strap here, both legs are very active. Now slide that right heel down through that midline if you comfortably can. If your low back is not comfortable with that, please keep the knee bent and the foot flat on the mat. I'm going to turn my hands over, one hand on top of the other here, pressing out through the midline of each heel. As I inhale, taking my arms over the head, drawing right up through that midline again, moving through the midline. Legs are very, very active, moving into an inverted warrior three, pressing that heel that's toward the ceiling, pressing it up toward the ceiling. Just as powerfully, you're pressing out through the inner heel and the ball mound of the down leg. Breathe here. And then walk the hands back along that taut belt. Let's go ahead and bend that knee that's in the air, bringing your foot down to your leg. And then that knee, remember, comes out, and that entire leg is supported on your block or a bolster or a pillow out to the side here. So I have my leg into, or excuse me, my foot into my leg and my leg pressing into my foot. I have my hip points as much as possible pointing up toward the ceiling. So just tap those hip points to see. You'll notice that the left one is probably off to the side a little bit, and that's okay, but mostly have them pointing toward the ceiling. So you're not rolling over to the left. Keeping both legs very, very active. Let's place that one hand on top of the other now, bringing the arms over the head, coming into a tree pose with the arms over the head. If it's not comfortable to bring the arms over the head, that's okay. You can do the tree pose without adding the arms. Finding your breath here in this very vigorous pose. And then release, walking the hands down the strap again, just like we did earlier. And then releasing that foot from the strap, keeping that knee bent and bringing it down to the mat, and then bringing the other leg up to meet it here. Resting here with the feet flat on the floor, the knees bent, Arms can rest gently out to the sides. You can put the strap and the block away. We're done with those for now. Letting the body land here. And then let's bring the arms out to the sides. Gently letting the knees begin to start just rocking from side to side, any amount. Remember, that can be a very small amplitude of rocking, just back and forth, crossing that midline. Or if you feel pretty warmed up and it feels good, you can let the legs drop toward the floor a little bit more. Letting the body feel the work that it's done. Just rocking it out here. Come back to the center. Bring the arms a little bit closer to the midline here. And if it feels comfortable, you're welcome to straighten the legs out for just a couple of breaths here. Let the arms relax out to the sides. Let the legs comfortably roll toward the sides. Taking a few breaths here, landing back in your body. And then bending the left knee, rolling over toward the right side, or the left side if that's easier. And then slowly pressing with one hand, working your way back up into any comfortable seated position. Coming back to where we started, back into the center. Let's pause here for just a breath or two. Letting the body feel that sensation of grounding, that sensation of landing back into this position. And then let's bring our hands together in the midline like we do at the end of every yoga practice, ending our practice with gratitude, as always, for the opportunity to practice together. Namaste.